Hello, and welcome to Digifabricators, the show where we learn how makers and artists use their computer driven tools for fun, art, and profit. I'm your host, Jeff Stein, aka A Weird Guy, and with me is my talented but humble co host, Al Schultz of New York Woodworks. How you doing tonight, Al?
Good evening. I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Going pretty good over here, too.
Yeah. We had a crusty week of creeping crud in the house, but we're all feeling better now. It's that time of year again.
Well, at least you got it out of the system in time for the podcast.
Yeah, that's right. No trips to Rwanda.
No, none of that. All right. Let's throw out the podcast disclaimer and we'll get a start.
All right.
Even though we pretend to be experts on the internet, I would like to point out that neither of us have any actual training and are just guys winging it in our shops and learning as we go. All advice provided is based on our personal experience and possibly inaccurate assumptions and is worth exactly what you pay for it. If listening to this show causes you to take out a loan to buy new and expensive digital tools, you may tell your spouse that it was our fault, but do so at your own risk. Our guest tonight is the queen of chill vibes. She creates videos that make you feel, mallets that will beat you with love, and has recently become a 3D printing addict. Welcome to the show, Marylou Anderson, aka Made by Marylou.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Where do we find Miss Mary Lou this evening?
Where? I'm in Orange County, California.
California,
SoCal.
West Coast.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Close to
Beautiful
Disneyland.
weather out there. Close. Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. It was a really nice day. It was like 82 degrees, really sunny, kind of hot actually, but nice.
Wow. Yeah, you can have that heat. We're not ready for that yet.
I know. I was like, not 80 in March. Give me a little longer.
Is that not that's hot for March even?
I feel like it is.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is here.
I'm pretty sure we broke 40 today.
So. Oh, wow. Heat wave.
Wow.
So, I guess the official question is, give us a quick introduction of who you are and how you got here.
Who I am
and everything
and
in
how
between.
I got here. How long do you guys have? So I'm just a general artist, I would say. I've been creative like my whole life. I grew up with musicians. My dad is a guitarist. Every single person in my family like plays something or sings. And my mom was very supportive of the arts. So I just grew up trying everything. And I was a very curious child, and that extends to now. I went to film school. So I studied filmmaking. And while I was in film school, I did a lot of set design on other people's films. And that was probably like my real introduction into tools, because like I'm a girl among many boys in my family. Like I have 6 brothers and wow. I'm the only girl. So I was not taught like tool things as a kid. I was last in line when it came to that. So I didn't like touch a drill till I was in college. And I was like, oh, okay, this is all right, you know? And it was something that I didn't end up like doing much set design like after school, but I had those skills. And I moved to North Carolina, and it was such a change of pace. Like I had no friends there. I didn't know what to do. Like, what is there to do in Raleigh, North Carolina, you know? Like, other than try restaurants, I guess. So I got caught up on YouTube. Like, I was just watching a lot of YouTube, and I came across, like, Laura Kampf and 4 Eyes Furniture, Chris Salamone and just like the rabbit hole, of
Yeah,
makers
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
All the
But
good
in
ones.
particular with like Laura Kampf, I was kind of like, oh, this is cool. This is different from what other people were doing, which was like basically woodworking or just making things in general,
Mm-hmm.
shown in a cinematic way. And it, at that time in my life, I wasn't really doing any filmmaking, but something about watching her videos like reminded me that I had all those skills. Like I could
Yeah,
do all of
Right.
those and melt that in with my current interests, which
nice.
at that time I was like really diving into woodworking. Well, just like YouTube University woodworking, I guess.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
Right.
And learning
I hold
things
a
and
doctorate
building.
there.
Yeah. I'm getting closer to my PhD. So
There you go.
um, um but yeah, and like, making small things at a time and using the tools that I had at my disposal and not like, I knew the quality that I wanted, but I didn't have the tools to make those things. But I went into it thinking like, well, if I can learn to do this on shitty like tools and camera gear and stuff,
Mhm.
then when I can graduate up to the next level, I'll be that much better at
Right,
those
right.
things.
Right.
That's solid.
So,
That's solid thing. Solid thought. Yeah.
You really just got to. I mean, some people are like, I'm going to wait until everything's just fucking perfect and then I'll make a video.
yeah.
But
And that's
Yeah.
such a bad
you
idea.
really just have to start with what you have
Yes,
Yeah.
and then try to upgrade yourself once you know what you really need.
Yeah.
exactly.
This this is. I know we're recording audio, but this bag right here has about $1,400 worth of DSLR camera equipment in it that is 2 years old that I've never used because I've got to take the time to learn how to use it. And
Hmm.
I literally just today got it out and a friend of mine got it out, and he's like, "No, no, no, no! You're going to start filming with this thing. This is what it'll do." He actually connected it to my phone. I about crapped my pants. I was like, "What?"
Nice.
Yeah.
But
You can use that
so
as a monitor.
yeah, you can use it as a monitor. The phone, you can hook it to an
Word.
iPad.
Sweet.
You can Bluetooth directly from the camera to the hard drive on your PC. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah. They've
So
made it
so
a
you
lot better.
started with classic art media, paint,
Hmm. I
drawing,
did.
charcoals,
Yeah.
creativity, and stuff like that, and then graduated into building things you could hold in your hands.
Hmm.
And
That's
so
right. Yeah.
were you finding like maker spaces to work in, or were you just getting whatever
Mm-mm.
tools you could afford to get and
No. Yeah.
Saturday
I.
Saturday in the driveway?
Yeah. I don't have that personality type to want to
Uh-huh.
go to a makerspace and
Okay,
like talk to
you're
people
right.
and
That's
work
fair.
around people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So especially when
Ooh,
I'm
people.
first starting, when I'm first starting out with like something I'm not that experienced in, the last thing I
Mhm.
want to do is like do that in front of people. So,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I used a lot of my stepdad's tools in the driveway.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when we moved to North Carolina, it was into like a new development. So there was a lot of construction going around. And
Scrap
there was
wood.
a lot of like, yeah, there's a lot of pallets just on the side of the road. And I
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
pick them up, take them apart, and try to figure out like what I could make out of this. And it was all
Nice.
just like skill building. Like I was just trying to teach myself like what are the fundamentals of this. Can I make something shitty like this look cool? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then, as I kept developing, then I'm trying to figure out like what's my style, like there's people that I'm inspired by, but I don't want to be them. I don't want to
Right.
copy them. I don't want to emulate them. I want to
Hmm.
take the things that they do that inspire me, but say it in my own voice. And
Hmm.
so, along with like building skills, it's like figuring out what is your voice? What are you trying to say? What are you trying to do? I guess. Yeah.
Man, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
So I would love to talk about camera gear just because it's fresh on my mind. But
Hmm.
from after digital camera equipment, which we can go back to, how did you dip your toes into the digital world, and what was it? Was it a vinyl cutter, a CNC, a printer? How did you end up in the digital
Oh,
space?
Yeah. How did I end up in the digital space? I feel like a lot of when Inventables sort of came out with their X-Carve
Heck,
CNC, they
yep.
used a lot of influencer marketing, and I
Yeah.
was influenced. And
Gosh, I gotta say, I thought you were like way after Inventables. You don't look old enough to
mm-mm.
know what an X carve is.
No, yeah, I had
Okay,
like
good.
the
All right.
small one too. Yeah,
Really, really, you got
hmm
the which is what Jimmy
yeah.
DiResta jokes about, like the X carve is the gateway to woodworking or something like that.
Basically, definitely to CNC.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but like after I got that, I regretted it. It took
Really?
forever. Yeah, it took forever to put together. Like I stalled, kind of like you had your camera for 2 years.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I had it
yeah,
like in parts for like 7 months or something. And then I would just do a little bit at a time. I'm like, this is
yeah,
so fucking annoying. Like I
yeah.
don't want to put this thing together.
We
Um,
have a we have a mutual friend that I don't think ever got an X carve together. Vincent.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
It
like
it finally
so
it
many
finally just left.
parts. Yeah. And then like there were parts that were missing on top of it. So
Of
I had to
course.
like go back, but I
And
didn't
now
find
it's a
that
year
out till
later.
like 4 months. Yeah. 4 months later. And they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes. Just
You sure you
send me
didn't
the
just
fucking
wear it
nuts.
out?
I don't know what to say. Yeah.
The cat
I
ran
haven't
off
even
with
tried
one in
it
the last
yet.
month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
sat in the garage untouched, for so long on the workbench. Um, but
Well,
then
that's an
when,
amazing drive that you were able to survive an X carve and
yeah,
stay passionate about this business.
Well,
yes, yeah,
once you get it
well,
working, it's fun, right?
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But then there was like maintenance and the belts, like replacing that was a
yeah.
nightmare. And but then I also like learned what I didn't want to do again with my upgrade. Like I always
Right.
knew this was my starter CNC. Um, and
Oh,
I
so
wanted
you're
to.
not still on an X carve?
No, heck no. Yeah.
Does
And then
anybody
I was
still have one of
shopping
those at work?
around. I
Yeah,
don't know. I'm very
they're
curious. Probably
probably
not.
hanging on museum walls now.
Maybe.
Probably.
Um yeah, but then Onefinity came out
Yeah,
and it I feel like that really took away a lot of the pain points. One
that's a big
being
jump from an X carve to a
assembly.
150. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're nice.
Assembly and ease of use.
Yeah.
Like
If
that
I
I
was
ever
awesome.
need a small machine, it'll be a 150. I'm pretty sure.
I
I'm,
have a strong feeling that if I ever get rid of my Shapeoko and upgrade,
mm,
that Onefinity is going to be the
yeah,
right choice for me.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
still like Shapeoko. They're a great company, and this machine is done I mean, for a belt-driven machine with a trim router in it, it has done fantastic
Mm-hmm,
job for me.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I have no complaints about it or the company. But the reason I will dump Shapeoko in a heartbeat for a Onefinity is the fact that they came out with a $700 rotary that you can smack onto a Onefinity now as a plug and play option that you can get.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they are the first person to sell a machine under like $7,000 that has a rotary possible
Mm-hmm.
without, dicking around and doing it all custom yourself shit.
Right.
So you're on a 150 now,
Correct.
are you? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Rotor.
$600 or $700 would get you a
No
rotary right
rotor.
now,
Yeah. Uh,
Mm.
depending on the size of the machine, I think.
I would probably want to get a laser before I got a
Fair.
rotary for my CNC.
Not everybody
Yeah.
needs a rotary,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
but
Yeah.
I do, and that will affect my purchase decision is
Yeah, you
buying
make
a
some
machine
cool
that'll
stuff.
support
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
like to get rid of my rotary only machine and the Shapeoko and replace them with one solid linear rail driven machine that has the rotary built onto it. It's got the flat and the round built on. I'd replace both of my machines with one of those if I had the money today.
Yeah. I say do it. Charge it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, sure. I mean,
You both didn't say anything.
if I was going to call it an investment, if I was going to call it an investment and I'm going to make money by having this machine, then I would absolutely invest in my future and do that. But seeing as this is a hobby and I don't make a good goddamn dime off of this, I just have fun and like showing off. So this is more something I need to have money to throw away at it to be able to afford to upgrade my hobby. Now,
For sure.
I
Yeah.
do have the advantage of knowing that if I buy a new machine, that I'm perfectly capable of selling the two old machines to help recoup some of that cost. But it's still not going to balance out, and I still need to have all the money up front. So it is what it is.
Is this a full time business for you? Is this what you
For
do for a
me,
living, or yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
no,
this, I
oh, you,
don't make any
no.
money from this. Yeah. This is
Hold
also
up.
just,
This entire Instagram is a hobby.
this entire Instagram is a hobby.
Oh
Everything
my
that
god,
I do.
ladies and gentlemen, if you have not
Yeah.
looked at this Instagram, there isn't really anything that you can try that Mary Lou hasn't tried and mastered. This is wow.
I,
Okay,
yeah.
interesting.
Hopefully, it'll turn at
Yeah,
some point in my
yeah,
life.
yeah.
You know.
Do you do shows or like Etsy or anything like that, or this is all
No,
one off for
I
you?
used to no, I used to like have an online store, and I
Mm,
would sell like some products and stuff here and there, but like I shut that down a while ago, and I kind of I've been a little bit more like project focused, just
mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
one-offs sort of a thing,
Yeah,
because it is like a side,
yeah,
not a side
yeah.
hustle, but like a side
Hobby.
gig, I
A
guess.
side hobby.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it
It's a
is.
hobby.
Yeah,
Wow.
many
Well,
many side hobbies. Yeah.
you're killing it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
so so we went from a an X Carve to a Onefinity.
Hmm.
What was your next digital dive?
I got a 3D printer a couple months ago. I'm like, how long has it been? It hasn't been that long. Yeah, it's
I
just
don't
a
know,
couple
maybe a
months.
month and a half.
This is the
Yeah.
A1 bamboo.
Yeah, A1
Yeah,
mini.
yeah.
Yeah.
I I am tripping out on this little organizer you made. It looks like a
Oh,
mini what do
obsessed.
you call these sustainers? Yeah.
Yes,
Did you model it
I'm so
after a
obsessed.
sustainer?
No, I didn't. I just found like a file on
That is so
Bamboo
cool.
Studio. Yeah.
You using like Gridfinity or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Gridfinity is
And
a
just
system. You can print the bottom, which is just a really short grid, and then you can get boxes and containers of like that are one or two grids across and whatever size and shape. There's like a thousand
yeah.
things that fit
okay.
into
Yeah.
the
So it's a complete
it's a
system.
it's a
Yeah.
full
Mm-hmm.
system that's
Yeah.
pre-modeled and you can pick and choose whatever shit you want to make your drawer work the way you want.
Ah.
And a lot of people, have contributed to this
Yeah.
3D printing cause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
like, that's actually what I needed to dive into that world. Like I needed the technology and the users using it to be at a certain level. Like I wanted
Hmm.
something that I just plug in. I
Yeah.
don't same instance, I already learned from Xcarve. Like
Right.
I don't
Right.
want to build this
Right.
thing. I just want to plug this in.
Yeah.
Unless it's a
I,
bandsaw, I'll deal with it. But
yeah.
like
Yeah.
these other tools, I just need to like plug that shit in and I want to print something now. And that's
Hmm.
what this printer did. And like so many people like have modeled stuff out that I just can like take that and customize it to suit my needs and
So you're
make
just
it look the way I
tweaking.
want it to look.
Yeah, you're just tweaking like shareware files.
Yeah,
is that a proper
basically.
term
I
anymore?
don't
Yeah.
know what shareware is, but so shareable files, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Free for personal use models.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
millions of them.
That's
Yeah.
so.
So
Exactly.
is that why you waited until now to get a printer? Is because you didn't want the hobby of learning how to fuck with a printer? You wanted the hobby of printing things.
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
that's what was holding me back. I mean, I had a
Yeah.
resin printer a couple of years ago, and it was not. I mean, it did what it was supposed to, and I didn't have to mess with it, other than the usual mess of dealing with the freaking resin and that mess. But I mean, I didn't have to tweak it. I didn't have to learn how to play with it. It just printed shit. But all the other, FDM filament printers, there was a thing where, I mean, you had to spend half your damn time tweaking it, re-leveling it, readjusting shit,
Yeah.
tweaking every
No,
freaking
I
little
don't want to
tiny
do any of
setting and
that.
adjusting
Yeah.
your temperatures and your flow rates and all of this shit. It was a whole thing, and you had to like spend years learning how to do all these things, and just to keep your machine running and actually getting prints off of it. And Bamboo came along, and they've got the settings in there on defaults that are so good that you don't have to tweak anything. It auto levels itself for the most part, not 100%, but 95% auto levels itself. And it all the default settings usually give you the result you're looking for. And it's only when the defaults don't work do you have to figure out what you need to tweak. But for the most part, Bamboo's got it. So you just send a file over, you wait a couple of hours, you pop the thing off, and you move on with your life, and you've got it. It's just
Yeah.
that's what I was waiting for the
Same.
FDM. I was waiting for that. I didn't. I don't care how nice a Prusa is, and I don't care how many people swear it's just amazing. And once you get it tweaked perfect, it just works for you. Great. How long did that take to
Yeah.
get to this point? You know,
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
I know people
It's
who
too
said that.
much. I don't
Oh,
got time for that.
I know
Like,
people that said they can guarantee that their Prusa will do anything they throw at it because they've got it tweaked to absolute perfection. But did you spend 3 years learning how to tweak that thing to perfection
right.
before you get
Yeah.
to that point?
Mhm.
It certainly didn't do that shit right out of the box.
Yeah.
And that's what I was waiting for to get into it.
I
I've had
was,
mine since the middle of last summer.
yeah,
So I'm not too far ahead of you. I was also waiting for the Bamboo simplicity of just take it out of the box, plug it in, and hit print.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I'm just waiting until I'm tired of Jeff bitching at me, and I'll just go buy one. I don't have
You
one
won't
yet.
regret it.
No, and
Mm.
actually, it just wasn't in. I had one in the cart, and it just wasn't in the budget at this
Yeah.
time, so it's still in the cart. I am trying to figure out if I would just want to double down and get the full size A1 that you guys are using, or A1 Plus, or
The,
whatever it
norm,
is.
the normal A1 is the same size as the other expensive ones. The
Oh, it
mini,
is.
the mini, yeah, yeah. The three, the A1, the P1, and the X1 are all the exact same cubic dimensions, left, right, and up. The mini is the only one that's got a different
Okay,
print size.
all right. So I'm looking at so an A1 is fine.
Yeah,
That's I don't need to get the fancy case and all that stuff.
no, not really.
Yeah. But he had the guy that helped me with my camera today. We were looking at a job actually for some CNC work, a bunch of CNC work. But he up in the corner, we had to get like he's contemplating buying like 350 sheets of plywood, and we have to store it somewhere. And he's got a barn, which is his studio. So we're kind of like, you don't want this if we're going to keep this long term. You don't want pre-finished plywood where you're spray painting and shooting poly and stuff like that. You're going to ruin the plywood. So, but then on the shelf, I see I'm like, what is that over there? And he goes, oh, it's a 3D printer. I was like, really? I was like, I didn't know you were into this. And he goes, yeah, I haven't touched it in a year or two. It was so I went over and looked at it. It's an Ender.
Mm.
Yeah,
And he
those
goes,
are
have
pretty
you ever,
popular.
he goes, do you want to get into 3D printing? I said, yeah, I actually have, I have one. I'm just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. And he goes, oh, well, this is the one you want to start with because it's going to teach you how to do all the leveling and all. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't
You
want
lost
to. I don't
me.
want to know how to do
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
The new
He's like,
ones do it for you.
that's what I
You
said.
don't ever have to learn how to level anything.
I said, how old is this? And he goes, it's like 3 years old. I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah. It's Ender the conversation.
That was that was fantastic piece of technology
in
up
its day.
until bamboo upset what was standard for everybody.
Yeah,
Um, now that bamboo came out, they've raised the bar. Everybody's standard is it fucking just prints for you right out of the box,
or
which
nobody's gonna
was
buy it.
not industry standard before
Yeah,
that point.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And affordable.
right before bamboo came out, the Ender and the Prusa were fantastic machines,
Huh.
but they were the last generation of you
Do
still
it
have to learn how
manual.
to
Yeah.
freaking tweak the shit.
Yeah.
They were great, but
This box. I'm sorry. I know this is silly, but this box is amazing. This organization box.
Oh.
I've got it. I've got it playing on a monitor behind me,
Yeah.
or behind you, I should
Thanks.
say.
Yeah. No, I love organization. So,
So what's the software? I see there's like a dark screen with the 3D with
yeah, Bamboo
that's
Studio. Is that what it's
bamboo
called? Yeah.
software.
Yeah. Bamboo
Yeah.
Studio.
Okay. Okay. So you can literally like change the text on these models or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Interesting.
Some like you can't change the text. Like it's just
Right.
sort of built into that. So I've been trying to find things that maybe have like a blank spot where I can put
Put your own.
like yeah
Right.
text that I
there's
want. And,
there's ways that you can try to do some stuff. Like
yeah, I'm sure.
if the front of
Um,
your model has a nice flat spot, but the person that uploaded it put their own logo on it, you can add a cube. You can add a primitive cube and stretch it out and make it thin and basically use that to fill in the
mm,
holes
like a cover.
and then
Yeah.
try to and if the cube sticks out a little bit, that'll be the front surface and you can I don't know if you can emboss on a standard cube, but I'm guessing you probably can. You can probably add your text to the cube and put the cube just a millimeter in front of the shit so it'll
Hmm.
fill the holes and allow you to put your own shit on it instead. There's a lot
Okay.
you can do with adding primitives and adding those onto the model or adding negative primitives which will subtract anywhere they overlap. So there's a lot you can do in the slicer to adjust the models that you download, and just when you think you understand shit, you find an entire tab of shit that does all
Yeah.
kinds of
No.
extra stuff you
For
didn't even
real.
fucking know was there.
Yeah.
I mean, I used that software for a couple of months and then I found another tab at the top and I'm like, wait, I can do what? I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to happen. I'm just going to keep discovering more and more. So it
Well,
really becomes this like addiction.
I could see. I mean, you're
Yeah.
very like you're printing such amazing. Like I got to get a printer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind, she's had it for 6 weeks and you're looking at things she posted 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
wait. You've only been printing 3D printing for a month and a half?
Yeah. Yeah.
6, maybe 8.
Oh
I'm
my
Yeah.
trying to remember how
gosh.
long I've seen her with it, but it hasn't
It's
been more
been
than
like
like
a
2 months
couple.
since she
Yeah,
got that.
exactly. It
All
hasn't been
right.
too long.
So what you're
Very
seeing is
green.
basically what she did
Yeah.
out of the fucking box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Amazing.
Like it's
Well,
so
good
easy.
job.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
that's the joy of the bamboo is great for a beginner because you can
Yeah.
click on, I mean, you can be on the app on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could be at the store and you're like, "Oh, I mean, you could be at the hardware store and you see a piece of plastic that's an angle bracket or something stupid and you're like, "Oh, I could just print one of those." You can
Yeah.
open the Bamboo app on your phone, type in angle bracket, find one you
Hmm.
like, click the next button 3 times, pick which reel it comes from, and when you get home, there's going to be a, black angle bracket sitting on the printer waiting for you. And you didn't have to do anything except find the one you like, tell it how many you wanted on the plate, and what color you want it to use.
Yeah, the best thing is like starting a print before you go to sleep and then waking up and it's like just
Having a
about
thing made.
finishing.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then you get to see the whole finished product, and I'm like, wow, you were working while I was sleeping.
You can
Which
sleep
is
while
kind
I
of like
drive.
something you couldn't do with a CNC or
Yeah.
anything like that.
No,
Well,
Like,
you
this is
can,
the
but I don't recommend it.
no, no, I would never.
I have a camera.
Yeah.
I've left the house before,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
I'm getting
yeah.
a little bit more bold. Like, I'll leave. I don't have a camera in there. I'll leave the shop and I'll like go kick it inside the house. I can
Now,
tell by the sounds that something's going wrong.
yes,
right,
absolutely,
Like,
absolutely,
right.
and
I've gotten
there
used to
is
it.
a we should. I mean, again, you should be very cautious taking advice from us.
Please don't do what I do.
We've
But
already warned them.
Yeah.
yeah, but
We
there's a
we we covered that at the
difference.
beginning
Yeah,
for
there's
a
a difference.
reason.
Yeah, 100%. But
Yeah.
there is. I want to stress there is a difference, and this is not throwing shade at any machine or any brand, but there is a difference between a 3, 5, 6, 12 horsepower router that's designed to run for hours and
Yeah.
hours and hours, and a trim router on a
Hmm.
V carve or on a X carve that is designed to run for 5 to 10 minutes trimming something. It was never built for a CNC.
Right.
So letting a trim router
Yeah.
run for 10 hours unattended is a
That'd
that's
be
a risk.
wild. That'd be wild.
Now, I found a good solution for watching this from when I was somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't have any fancy camera equipment. I I have an Android phone in my pocket, and I have my last Android phone sitting in the shop. That last Android phone is what I do all my filming on because it's in airplane mode. I don't have to worry about notifications popping in the
Yeah.
middle of my recording or anything stupid like that. And when it's not recording, you can install an app that does a webcam. You can install a webcam app
Mm.
and it'll connect to a server somewhere. You just plug it into the wall so it doesn't run out of electricity, turn on the webcam, and then when you're in Menards, if you're wondering how the machine's doing, you can pull up the browser on your good phone and see what the old phone says your shit's doing.
Mm.
And what do you do if something's going wrong? I
Watch it.
have one of those smart switches that you plug into an outlet and then you
Ah.
plug one thing into it.
Ah,
Hmm.
And all I've got to say is, okay, G, turn off the shop. And my lights and the CNC all go dark instantly from
Yeah.
wherever I'm at. So,
that's
Yeah.
smart.
I mean, I've had my wife text me and say, your machine's making a weird noise. I don't even care to look at it. I just
Yeah, yeah,
reach for the
Right.
power
Yeah.
button as fast as I can from where I'm at. It's
that's
a great
interesting.
trick.
Yeah, no,
And
that's a good.
almost everybody's got an old phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Old phones are great for recording stuff in the shop without having to buy expensive camera equipment,
For
and they're
sure.
good for webcams too.
Hmm. Yeah, I used an iPhone to film a dead iPhone to film with for a long time.
Yeah.
But now I run Blink
Now,
cameras everywhere.
now,
And
some of us may have thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment, but it's not me.
no, the Blink cameras that I use are plug-in ones, and they're like $14.
Yeah.
The controllable outlets are more.
So,
Yeah.
so what are you shooting on, Mary Lou?
Um, I have a few cameras.
I bet.
But
Not surprised to hear that.
yeah, my main camera is a Sony FX3. I primarily use a 24 millimeter Sigma cinema lens. Um, that goes down to 1.4 f-stop. I have a couple other lenses, but I don't really use those too much. And that's like my main, filmmaking camera. I also have an Osmo Pocket 3 that I'll use like for like reels or something, quick little video edits and stuff.
Right. That's kind of a GoPro-ish type device, right?
It is. It's basically like a GoPro on a gimbal.
Okay.
So it's
It's all one, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like probably that big. Um
Mhm.
but it has a lot of great features too, like face tracking, and mostly like I like it for smooth camera shots.
Hmm.
And it's a good like if you want to vlog more, it's way less embarrassing to have like in public than a big ass camera,
a full
so
a full photography
Right.
yeah,
studio.
exactly.
A
And i
full
i
size
already
camera would be
feel
a little. Yeah,
I
you
feel
know it.
embarrassed doing like influencer things in public. Like
I still
Right.
can't
it's
film
so
if there's nobody
hard.
around.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, hi
No,
guys, like at a restaurant,
I'm
and I'm
not
like, this
really
is
good
so
at that
embarrassing.
either. I
Yeah.
rarely film myself at all,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
And when I do, I'm almost never holding the camera. I mostly put my phone on a tripod and then take two tries to make sure I'm framed in the damn shot before I actually start trying to do my spiel. But it's very rare that I do that.
Mhm,
And the thing I've noticed about influencers and acting like an idiot in public, you can get away with so much more if you have someone else hold the fucking camera.
For sure.
Somehow the fact that you have a person with the camera who's walking around and filming you while you're doing your shit, it somehow offers this air of legitimacy that holding up your own phone and talking to it when you go down the street doesn't give you.
yeah, yeah. When you have somebody filming you, it's performance. When you're filming yourself, you're just crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know that that's true, but that absolutely mirrors the public perception of how you're doing what you're doing there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Probably, yeah, for sure.
I think if I was ever gonna try to be one of those people that walked around and talked in public, I think I would find one of my kids or a friend
Mhm,
or somebody that would play cameraman, because that would at least make me feel like I'm playing to them specifically and not
mhm,
just talking to myself on my damn phone, which make me feel silly. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could maybe transition in a little easier that way. If you start with someone as a cameraman,
mhm,
just even for a couple of times, you find
mhm.
somebody that'll do it once or twice for you, that might break enough of the ice that you can get used to acting like an idiot in public. And then maybe you'll feel a little bit more comfortable trying it yourself after that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm
You've got
still a
it gives
pretty
you
big
something to
nope on
focus
all
on.
of it personally.
Yeah, yeah. It gives you something to focus on too.
Right.
So you're not distracted by those. I still can't do it. I act a fool here. Like my stories, I'm a maniac in the shop. But if
Right.
somebody walks in, like I'm so awkward doing a,
Yeah.
hey, my friend Bob showed up. Hi, Bob. you know. But other than that, I'm like, hey, welcome back to the shop. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
And my wife will.
it's not too bad if Bob is someone who's got an Instagram and has
Yeah,
done stories
yeah,
before, because
yeah,
if you're doing stories with a friend who also does stories, suddenly you're doing stories together and you're sharing your insanity and it's fair.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
somehow, if my wife would be walk-in or somebody who's not on Instagram at all and
Hmm.
doesn't understand the thing of it,
Hmm.
then I'd
My
be
wife.
super heavily self-conscious at that point.
Oh yeah,
And I
yeah,
might as well just stop what I'm doing, deal with the people, get them the hell out of my space so I can focus on being an idiot by myself again,
yeah.
rather than worry about someone being judgmental and watching me act like an idiot for a camera.
I think I don't trust other people with a camera, like to make the shot
Well,
look right,
maybe
or
with your
to
camera.
make maybe, yeah, but even like on a phone, I'm like, why do I look like shit when you did this? Like,
Well, because they
no.
didn't go to school
Yeah.
for filmmaking.
Yeah.
That might have a lot to do
Yeah.
with it.
All
That's
right, so
The fact
I'm
that
gonna make a
what
note here.
it's
Never tag Mary Lou because it's gonna look like shit.
well, I you guys at least like have an Instagram. I'm talking about like, your family member who you happen to be with on this trip, and
Yeah.
I need a cool cinematic shot for my short film. Can you take this video of me? No. I'd
Yeah. Yeah.
rather bring my own tripod and slider and create the shot myself. I just don't have
That's,
that like trust. But stories are much more candid, much more like free, and you're right. Like when you're with someone who stories a lot, or just someone who has like a vivacious like personality, it's so much easier to do silly things in public with other silly people.
Right.
yeah.
It's just the
I
solo stuff. It's hard.
It makes a difference if you've been someone who's taken a lot of pictures or shot any video and
Yeah.
has any vague idea how to frame a shot so that the person is staying in the middle or on the third line or wherever the hell you want it to be, versus
Little
someone who
threads.
just
Yeah.
picks it up and vaguely kind of points it in your direction while wobbling around a little.
yeah.
And I would be a much bigger difference for you who knows how to do it right, knows how it looks right, and it looks really, really wrong when someone else doesn't know those things. It'd be a
Yeah.
huge difference. I mean, for some of us who don't know anything about videography, oh, I got an extra syllable in there, then it wouldn't make as big of a difference. And
Yeah.
I would just try to clean it up in editing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what a slider costs, but I'm not paying for one.
I wanted to. I'm glad you brought that up. Explain what a slider is. I know this is all normal stuff for photography people, and I think I know what it is. But you said tripod and a slider, and I'm like, wait, do they go together?
Yeah.
So explain
I
what a
think you
slider
can
Yeah.
put a
is.
slider on a tripod, right?
They do put, yeah, you can put a slider on a tripod. It's basically also a machine that's
Uh-huh.
using a belt system and, going in a loop, and it pulls the camera back and forth. So
It
you can
pulls the
get,
camera back and forth.
yeah, so you put the camera on top of the slider, and this
Okay.
belt is just pulling the camera from like left to right, essentially. And you can set through an app on your phone like various speeds that you want it to go, various like distances along the slider. You can do a time lapse as well.
How
And
big is this thing?
through mine is a small one. It's like, oops, sorry, it's like probably like, I don't know, 12 inches, like a foot.
Okay. What?
Yeah.
And forgive my ignorance, please.
hmm
Why do I want to move my camera left to right or right to left, or like what do you do
So
with that?
you're not always just like, you could also face the lens like in various positions, but a moving shot is much more hold on, let
Dynamic.
me, yeah, it's more dynamic. I mean, static shots have their place for sure,
Mhm.
but a moving shot is more interesting. It draws you in, it looks cooler. um and also I don't have another person to give me moving shots while I'm doing things,
Uh-huh.
so the slider is kind of like, my cameraman.
Huh.
So yeah, I mean, you've seen like a landscape where the camera slowly pans to the left and shows
That's
more as it goes.
that.
Yeah.
That's a slider.
That's basically
Yeah,
done
that's a
on a
slider.
slider.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I do
In
the same kind of shit in my video edits, but I'm doing it by zooming in a little bit in the edit. In
Yeah.
editing,
hmm
I will just have a
that's a good way.
static shot because my camera is my phone is just sitting on the tripod. It ain't going anywhere. But if you zoom in like 20%, then
hmm
you can pan left and right on the image because now the image is bigger than the frame
Yeah.
of what you're showing.
Yeah.
So once you zoom in, you're now showing, say, 60% of the actual film. So you can keyframe a shot so that the video starts zoomed in at this percent and it starts all the way on the left. And then over the next 6 seconds, it will slowly pan across the video. So if you'll see me doing shit like, say I'm shooting a video where I'm doing a rotary cut, and you'll see the camera basically stay in line with the router as it moves to the left as it cuts through the part. That's being done on, now see, she would do that with a slider and it would
Uh-huh.
look fantastic. I do that by zooming in a little bit and panning
Painted across the frame.
Yeah,
panning across the
you can cheat it
frame.
in post for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I cheat it in
Yeah.
post and it costs me nothing.
Yeah.
But
So
it
to give
doesn't
you a
look as good
little
at hers, but it still looks better than the static shot.
like film history, I don't know if you've ever like noticed when like in behind the scenes you see a camera on top of tracks and
Yeah.
they're
Right.
that is a slider is emulating that. It's just a way
Uh,
smaller version,
uh-huh.
and you know the movements aren't quite as vast or
Yeah.
drastic, but that's how you used to create moving shots that
Hmm.
are really nice and smooth back in the day before
Yeah.
a gimbal was ever invented.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Right. You had the cameraman who was very, very slowly pacing himself step,
mhm.
step, step to the left to follow the actors up the street.
Have you ever heard of the Alfred Hitchcock shot? Well, it's just called the Hitchcock shot, but it's
No.
basically where they were on tracks. So the tracks were like just going straight and the camera's facing straight. And they're moving in on the tracks physically. And then the lens is zooming out at the same time. So it's creating this really weird effect. I can't remember what movie that was in. It was like one of his super popular movies. But if you ever see that in a movie now, that is a Hitchcock shot.
Okay.
Very
Yeah. It's
popular,
become its
like
own meme. Yeah.
moving
So the central
shots in
character
cinema.
doesn't seem to get any closer, but the background still kind of seems to slide
Yes.
by.
Yeah, it's like the
That's
room is moving at you and the person's moving further away. Like
Interesting.
okay.
it's a really bizarre, cool shot though. I saw it in a recent movie called Perfect Days, and I was like shocked because nobody uses this shot anymore. You know, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh my god, that's so cool. It was like,
You caught it. See,
yeah,
that's so cool. That's so cool, like to catch things like that. That they're like little presents. You know.
yeah. In film school, they called it the disease. So you
Uh-huh.
can't watch like movies as a normal person anymore. You're like literally dissecting the entire thing the whole time.
I know how
But
they
I
did
feel
this. I
like,
know how they did
yeah,
that.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
the
Move
truth
on.
for anything that you're passionate about.
That
Like
is the truth.
you just
Yeah.
dissect it until you figure out how to do it.
Okay. So here's
When
a
you're a
question.
woodworker and you
Sorry.
go into a bar and you see that
Meet up.
the
Yeah.
miters on the corner of the bar don't fucking meet up,
I
as a
leave.
woodworker, you look at that and you go, that is
How
some
dare you?
really shitty construction craftsmanship right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nobody else in the damn bar notices it all. It's
Yeah, they don't
because
Yeah.
you're a
care.
woodworker, you notice woodworking mistakes. If you're a
Yeah.
Right.
filmmaker, you notice filmmaking things that you don't like, whether
Yeah.
it's bad or just not to your specific taste. But you dissect it more because you understand more about it.
Yeah.
Or you
And that goes
appreciate
with
the good
anything. I
things
mean,
more.
if
Yeah.
you sew, you see bad stitches in the Walmart and you go, I'm never
Yeah.
buying
Yeah.
this shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that
Yeah.
really does go for anything that you know enough about that you can judge the specific details that your normal, average, unknowing person would never see.
Yeah. So, Miss Mary Lou, let me ask you an opinion question.
Hmm.
I'm curious because just in the little bit of time we've been speaking here, well, almost an hour now, you're very passionate
Hmm.
and uh, very in tune with your creative and with creative things. And you're also very passionate and very in tune with digital things and
Hmm.
fabrication and all that kind of stuff. So, as a person who has been through film school and is an
Hmm.
artist and operates as a creative, how do you feel about all the digital taking over, like the Hitchcock shot? You know, I mean, I
Yeah.
understand we can't make movies like they did in the 40s, but
Hmm.
there's a it's like vinyl versus digital. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's something in seeing a Hitchcock shot or
Yeah.
seeing something done the old way, you know, or the
Hmm.
classic way. So, but then you got Avatar, which absolutely drives me crazy. I mean, it's a great movie. It's a great movie, but
No,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm tired of everything being an avatar now. Like, I want to see
Right.
real actors come up with an original idea, you know. And
Yeah.
it seems like
I'm
your opinion, please.
I love um I love a purist. I love people who really dive into something and look at it from the history of it and pay homage to those sort of things. And I think that it's important to maintain that sort of thinking when you approach these different like things. In terms of going digital, I also, enjoy things that make my life easier,
Sure. Oh,
um,
absolutely. Yeah.
and will help me make my dreams come true. But I'm never going to forget like the things that I learned, the hard work that it took. Um, like I said earlier, I tried to learn on shitty things how to do it so that I could get better. And I think people need to have that perspective as well. Maybe go through a little adversity with some
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah. It
and
makes you
and
stronger. Yeah.
yeah, and have like a good healthy like balance of the two. Like you can 3D print all day, but also go touch grass, please.
Right. Right. Right.
Like
Right.
Make a mud ball
yeah,
and
you
look at
need
it.
to just, I guess, find the balance. And um one thing I feel like might be getting lost in the sauce is crediting like um people for what they have done. So
Right.
like if you see a Hitchcock shot, like call that out. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
that's what that
Yeah.
is.
Oh, I'm gonna now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If I ever see one of those, I'll be like, "Oh my god, look at that."
Yeah. 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 See, just
That's all
That's
awareness.
you
what she
need.
was
Think about
talking
it.
about.
Yeah.
That is cool.
That's right. That's
And
right.
again,
Yeah.
maybe I'll just have to YouTube one and find it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
It's a mind bending piece of video from the sound of it.
It is.
Well,
It's
it is
really cool.
It's Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
most of his stuff is a little bit on the mind bending.
Yeah. I love your reference to a purist. That's an interesting term. Like, I've heard that like in sports cars. Like, there's people
Mm.
who like would frown upon. Like, I have a Volkswagen Beetle. There's Beetle purists, and then
Hmm.
I belong to a club called Ruined VWs.
Yeah. Well, my dad's like a purist for music.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so he has very high standards.
yeah,
And I guess like that's kind of where it comes from for me. And I can
yeah.
take appreciation into that and other people who are like that.
Nice. You mentioned that your whole family is musicians, and I see a
Hmm.
couple of guitars behind you. Are you a
Yeah.
guitarist?
I
Yeah,
am. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I make guitar noise.
Yeah. That's always fun. I do too.
Yeah, yeah.
On top of the
I
actual guitar.
inherited. Yeah, my father is still with us, but I inherited. He can't play anymore, and I inherited his guitars, which are really cool, really classic. And but I a couple of
Yeah.
years ago, a few
That's
years
cool.
back, I took a fingertip off, and I've again like the camera thing.
Yeah.
My guitars are in the cases, and I haven't picked them up since I took. Well, you can see it there. I took the tip right off,
Oof.
and the feeling is, you know what? Go listen to Jimmy Dresses.
Yeah,
We
we,
covered
we
it.
spent 5 minutes
Ah.
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah. We covered it.
partial
But
amputations there last week.
this is my anxiety or my stress in it is, and
Hmm.
not that I was a good guitarist at all, but I could
Hmm.
play a little. You know,
Yeah.
I haven't touched it since my injury, and therefore I can still play.
Ah.
I'm scared
Okay.
if I pick that thing up and I
Can't
can't
play
play it,
anymore.
I'm going to be devastated. And
Then
it's
you
like,
then you'll know you can't play.
exactly,
Versus right
exactly.
now you can until it's proven otherwise.
Yeah, I'm sure I could pick, but I was more of a finger picker, bluegrass, slow bluegrass.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
But yeah,
I mean, that's hard. What do you mean you were
it's
just
tough.
okay? Like,
I,
you're probably better
I
than
was
okay.
I was a background player, not
Okay.
a
You're. I
not
feel like
a
you're being humble.
No, I'm not.
When someone says that they pick, I'm like, well, I don't
No,
know.
no, finger pick,
Yeah, that's
not
what I mean,
not
like finger
not
pick.
speed
Yeah,
pick.
that's like a different skill.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's I have no formal training. I figured it out. People say, "What chord are you playing?" I don't know. The one that doesn't sound wrong.
Yeah.
Right. You make noise until it sounds right,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah,
you
That's pretty
remember
much
that one.
it. Yeah.
yeah.
When my dad taught me how to play guitar, he taught me 3 chords and that was it. He's like,
That's
all
me.
right,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
I,
can
I
figure the rest out.
apparently this is funny. We were playing just campfire playing, and some guy goes, "Oh my god, you just played a G major seventh," and I was like, "What?" I don't know what
Wow.
you said.
Those words were English, but I don't know how
Yeah,
they
I
make
can't.
sense when you put them in together like that.
He's like, nobody does that. That's like classical guitar, and I'm like, I sure.
Oh, okay. I was
I'm
like,
like,
why
it
is there
sounded right.
shouting? Gotcha. Yeah.
Well, you're a classic. That's
Funny.
fair.
Yeah, I'm a classic, that's for sure. Oh yeah, interesting.
So, why don't you tell us about those mallets? I think that was a project I'd like to hear more about.
Oh, yeah. Um, yeah, they're mallets. I call them heart hammers. Um, it's kind of like I guess it's not funny, but it's more nerdy. I'm a Blackpink fan. It's a K-pop band, and they have like heart-shaped mallets, but theirs was made out of plastic. And when I went to the show, it was like $80 for one. I was like, no, I can make a better one.
I can make
Yeah.
that.
And like, I'll just make it out of wood and it'll be like cooler in my own, you know? So I kind of sat on that idea for a while. And when I was finally like, I got through all the design process on it and figured out like how I'm going to assemble this because I decided to just do it in parts and then just assemble it and build on it. And then I don't know if it was you, Jeff, but I think I talked about like doing a dowel all the way through all the pieces except the last two or something.
Right.
And I was making like little mini dowels that would go in between each piece. And you're like, why don't you just cut all the way through? And I was like, I don't know. I guess I will now.
I don't have a good answer for
Yeah.
that.
So anyway, I like,
Well, you think of what you think of and then you run with it. And that doesn't
Yeah,
mean you stop to consider any other options that
yeah.
might be easier
yeah,
until you run into a problem and then you're like, oh, maybe a different way.
right. But luckily, this happened during my prototyping phase. And I was sharing so much of that process that I was able to get like input like that, which is so helpful before I went in and made like what was going to be the final product. And it also came at a time in the world that I think we just needed something more positive. Um, and I'm a very like love forward person. And that is like the message that I would always like to give out. And so it kind of became almost like a symbol to me of like, this is the opposite of hate.
Beat them
And
with love.
I would love to smash all the hate that's in the world. That'd be great. Yeah,
It's
so
a
that's
beautiful
pretty
message.
much,
Yeah.
it was kind of like a cheesy thing at a Blackpink concert. And then it turned into much more for me. I haven't finished editing that video. It'll probably come out at some point this year, but like I finished making them so long ago and I've already given them out to like the friends that I wanted to give them to. So I just have to like edit and put this video together. But I also get very sidetracked on projects and then commissions come in. And so videos
Are
get
the
prolonged.
are these CNC? Did you cut these out on the
Yeah, I
CNC?
cut them out
Yeah,
of on the Onefinity.
yeah,
And
Right.
I use cherry for all of them.
yeah. They're beautiful. They're
Yes.
really nice.
Thank
I
you.
think you CNC'd the handles, and then there was like a
Some power
circle.
carving.
There was like a circle on each side, and then a heart in
Hmm.
front of that.
Hmm.
And then was it a love you written into the
On the
heart?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
I
That
love you
was
inlay.
CNC'd in and
And then
resin, right?
I filled it in with epoxy.
So
That was
cool.
a solid CNC project.
Thank you. Yeah.
You did a lot of prototyping to make sure that came. How many did you end up making?
I actually made 7, but I fucked up like 2. And then I cut them up because I glued them up crooked. It was like the last 2, you know, when you're tired at like
Yeah. You should have stopped
11:45
3
p.m. and
ago.
you're like,
Yeah,
oh, you're
yeah.
like doing a glue up of like these very movie parts, you know?
A
And
stack of 5 pieces of wood and trying to
yeah,
squeeze
yeah,
that and hope that the top level and the bottom level and the center level are all in perfect line.
exactly. And flush, like one side's not
Right.
more to another way.
And
But
they all do
I
the glue
did,
slip.
yes, exactly. And it
You
happened
squeeze
to
them and they
be
slide.
on 2 points where I like didn't add salt. I was like, it'll be fine. It's not gonna do anything.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, it slipped
Nobody uses
during.
salt after
Yeah,
11.
I ran out. um, and then the next day when I unclamped it, it was just crooked as fuck. So I was like really depressed about it for months. And then I
Oh.
cut them up. They were a little too big to fit through my bandsaw, so I had to use like a multi tool to cut
Oof.
it and then
Yeah.
resand everything. And then I glued it back up and it went right back into the same position
Like I had
of
a
being
memory.
crooked. Yes.
Oh
And
my
I just
gosh.
gave up that at that point. I was like, no, because I wanted to do another giveaway. I did a giveaway at the beginning and then I wanted to do another one. Because I like doing giveaways on my birthday. But I glued it back up crooked, and so we all lost that day. Yeah,
Oh well.
yeah. I
There,
gave up.
what's David Bachuto's rule number 4? There are no mistakes, only. Damn it! It's
I make many
he's got
mistakes.
10 rules on. Yeah, there's no.
I've
Yeah,
seen them. I know what you're
I've seen
talking
them
about,
Yeah.
too,
but
but
I
I
Okay.
certainly haven't memorized
yeah
them.
Okay. If
I
it looks
remember
straight,
them
it
as
is
well
straight.
as
How's
the
that?
10
We know that one.
Commandments.
And if it doesn't look straight, it probably isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Usually.
Oh
Yeah.
well, you can't win them all.
No, but that's okay. It was definitely a worthwhile project, and yeah. So I guess later this year, just holding myself accountable now. I'll release
There we
that to
go. You heard it here
you.
first, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
Later this year,
later this year.
you're gonna do another one.
I'm not gonna make another one. I don't think. Maybe I'll 3D print some.
There you
So it'll be
go.
There you
fun.
go.
Yeah.
You know, I've done that a couple times with stuff, and it is sort of kind of fun. It's like, what was it, a year, maybe it's just a little over a year ago, I made this big convoluted vase out of wood, and it's like I glued up rings, I glued up boards, and then I cut rings out of them on 3-axis CNC, and then I stacked like 7 or 8 rings on top of each other and glued them together to make a vase blank, and then I stuck it on the rotary, and I carved all the design into the side,
Oof.
and
Yeah.
then it was a big process. It took me weeks. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, I could print that model and it would look cool. And I threw some blue translucent PETG into the printer and I threw the model over there, scaled it to fit. And the next morning, I had the same damned vase out of a
Yeah.
out of a blue translucent material that looked really cool, and it took a lot less effort than the 3 weeks it took me to make the wood version
Yeah.
that I don't have anymore. So now I've got my own version. It took me, you know, 8 hours to make another one while I slept. It was so. I
That's
What's
the
mean,
thing.
what's that
it's
you're
kind of fun to go back to the old stuff that you made the hard way and just throw it at the printer. I mean, it's not you're not going to get the same thing. You're not going to get the same quality, but I mean, you're going to get a nice, easy, simplified version of the identical product.
Or an
So you
homage
could
to the.
3D you could 3D print an exact model of the one they were selling at the concert for $80.
Exactly. I could do that. I could do that now.
Cost you
Yep. Yep.
$4 worth of filament and it'd
Yeah.
be done by tomorrow night.
Perfect.
See,
Yeah,
full circle.
full circle.
Why not?
No, I think this is a great idea. I probably will do that, in fact.
Yeah, it's fun to revisit something, and
Yeah,
I could kick that out of the printer. That'd be cool.
exactly.
I could make a
Also, it
plastic
would
version
be
of it.
cute to make like miniature versions of it.
Yeah, that would look
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to find something to hit with it. You know how like a gavel hits like the little
Hmm.
circle that goes on the judge's thing, and then they bang on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You'd have to find something that was thematically cute that you would want to hit with a heart. That would be fun
Af-
somehow.
after I finished the prototype, I did a little animation where the mallet was hitting a heart that would like bounce back up.
Nice,
Okay.
So
nice.
maybe something like that. Maybe
You know
some
what you could
bouncy.
do?
You familiar with TPU?
I've been wanting to try that. That's like the like bendy
Yeah,
film.
it's
Yeah.
like rubberized plastic. You can literally squeeze it like rubber.
Like
You can
Okay.
make
Yeah.
rubberized. You can make gaskets. You can make
cartilage.
hinges, cartilage,
Oh,
whatever you want to do with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where you're gonna want
that
to
might be the way to go. Yeah.
find or make a model of a heart in some way and print that out at TPU, and you could hit it and it would be squishy.
Mm.
Yeah, that would
So
be
you could
really
print
cute and
that
funny.
too.
And then add the little sounds. Boing. Something like
Add the sound,
that.
nothing. Go on
Yeah.
Amazon and buy the little freaking squeaky things that go into dog toys and put one of
Oh
those in the
yeah.
heart. So when you hit it, it actually goes squeaky,
Yeah.
squeaky. That'd be adorable as
That
shit.
would be cute. Yeah.
You could also print, and this would be a good as far as gifts go. You
Mhm.
could print your, scale it down tiny and make it like a keychain.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at all these
It doesn't have any
ideas.
fancy squeakers in it like Jeff's idea, but you
You
Hey, I just ran with that.
can
know.
do both.
Miss Mary, I have to commend you. I've been scrolling on my. I've got a monitor behind this monitor, and I've been just kind of stalking your Instagram. Your photography skills are amazing.
Thanks.
It's
Thank you.
Like I,
almost like she went to school for
yeah,
videography,
yeah, yeah. It's crazy.
and you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sitting there going, oh, I just need to delete my account.
No.
Well, you got perfectly good video for Instagram quality. You know,
Yeah, I'm an Instagram photographer. That's
you're an
for sure.
Instagram photographer, and she's got a different level of skill set.
You're a photographer.
It's finding that skill set again, because when I was in film school, you're learning so many different things. And so like
Yeah.
being having a camera, like I wasn't the cameraman. I was directing a scene, I was acting in
Ah,
it, I was writing it, but like very rarely was I behind the camera. And then like my final year of school, one of my friends asked me to be the cinematographer on his short film, and I was like, me? you
yeah.
want you want
You know
me
what I
to
do,
do
right?
it? Yeah, exactly. I was very confused and I didn't
Yeah,
know why he was asking me. But it was also film school and people like flake on you so hard all the time. So um he might have
I
just
gotta
needed.
give him props because I mean, we said earlier, if you hand this thing to your sibling, they're not gonna know what to do and how to aim it
Yeah.
and how to focus it. But if he asks you to hold the camera,
Yeah.
you know how to focus and aim and track and keep things in the right frame and keep things either centered or on the third lines or whatever he thinks he wants.
Yeah.
You know how to make it, you know what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah,
So it's
it
just a
was.
matter of you needing to make it look like that on the screen while you're holding it. So I mean, he didn't have a bad idea by asking someone else that knew what the hell they were doing. Even though you weren't familiar with the camera, you knew what he wanted it to look like,
Yeah,
and you knew what the camera needed to do, even if though you're not used to holding it.
for sure. Yeah, it was
He
it
still made a
was
good call.
very it worked out. It was and it was a good experience for me, learning that role on a film set. And if it was something that I wanted to do as well, like at that time you're thinking like, what are you going to do in this industry and stuff. So it was letting me know a lot of like, what are the things I want to do and what don't I want to do. And I ultimately didn't do any of it because I was just like got into music after school. Um, but then when I, came back to um, those roots and buying cameras and going through like a life cycle of cameras from, let's say, 2014 to now. So like a GoPro, a like Canon ES whatever. I had a Sony A7 III, and now I have the Sony FX3. And with each of those cameras, the Sony FX3 was like my dream camera, so I don't really have a lot of bad things to say. But the other three cameras had a lot of like limitations. And it would be so frustrating because I know how I wanted something to look and I couldn't create that look with that gear. But the most important thing to me at that time was like, just keep making shit. Like, you're gonna get better. This is
Yeah.
gonna build a portfolio for you, even if like nobody ever sees it. That's even better because you're kind of creating in the shadows and you're willing to be more experimental and do things that maybe you're not going to do again in the future, but at least you tried it and it's there. So um I wasn't always where I'm at, essentially, is what I mean by all of that.
Well,
Sure.
Like, it took a long
nobody is.
time for me to get to this point. um but it's worth a shot.
And I've heard that advice thrown out there before for people who are interested in starting to make videos. And the first key is just start with what you've got and start shooting things and try to do some edits and see what turns out. But the second part of the advice that really kicks in there is that just because you did a project and you shot the video and you did the editing, there's no rule that says you ever have to post that shit or show it because it's
Yeah,
half-assed and
there's
it's
that too.
inadequate and
Hmm.
it doesn't really do what you want. But you learned so much. Here you go. You went to school in the first one. You know, as long as we're throwing
Yeah.
out Jimmyisms.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So um you learn so much. You don't have, I mean, you can make 5 videos and you don't ever have to post any of them.
Mhm.
You can just keep doing it for you and for practice and for learning.
Yeah.
And
The
when you
knowledge is
actually
yours.
have something, I mean, the first time I made a video, it was an accident. I didn't even plan the video. I shot like 3 or 4 little short video clips of a single process I was doing. And I took pictures of my project the end of every night when I was done doing things. And when I was done with that project, I decided I wanted to make a video out of it. And I stitched it together into mostly a slideshow. But I mean, and I posted it. But that's me. That's not what everybody needs to do. But I mean, some people want to post. Some people want to do like
Mhm.
7 videos before they think it's good enough to actually show to other people. And that is okay. You can do that. You don't,
You can do it as long as you're actually doing it. You
Yeah.
know what I
just
mean? Like, people say they have that
shoot it.
arbitrary number, but then they never actually make the 7 videos. They just make like one and give up. So yeah, you can have your number, but like actually
Yeah.
do it. You know what I mean?
Do you know how many videos I have started?
Maybe
I
as
have
many as
hours and
me. I have
hours
a
and
lot of
hours of footage.
unfinished videos.
Yeah, yeah,
I've got hours of footage of projects
yeah,
that have never seen the
yeah,
light of day because
yeah.
I saw something else shiny and there was way too much stupid footage that I didn't need and I didn't want to filter through, and I just decided I didn't care enough to put the effort in. You know,
Do you, do you have a favorite video editing software that you would recommend? That's easy.
Mm. That's
I'm
easy.
on a PC, not on a Mac.
Uh, okay. So it's like, I don't know because I don't use it, but my recommendation for you is to get into DaVinci Resolve. It's like
bingo.
basically the
I
standard
actually
and
have
it's
it on
free.
this laptop. I've
Yeah.
I'm
never
with
done
you.
anything.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I use for all of my stuff. It
Yeah.
is extremely powerful. It is
Yeah.
extremely free,
Yeah.
and it is very easy to learn to get started. And there are
Hmm.
8 million videos on YouTube that will explain to you
All
how to
right.
do
All
anything
right.
you happen to be stuck on.
Da Vinci. I got it. I think
So
it's on. I
that
think
is
I have it on here already.
that would be my
Yeah.
choice for recommendation, but I
Yeah.
don't think
I
that's what you're actually using, is
no,
it?
no, I use Final Cut, but that's because I paid for it like a really long time ago
Yeah.
before DaVinci even
Mhm.
existed, and
Mhm.
it's the software that I learned to edit on in school.
Right. Right.
Um, and I'm sorry, my cat is like trying to get
No
into a
worries.
box. If you guys hear that,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I use Final Cut. I did use Premiere for a little bit, but I think Premiere sucks personally. They do have a good transcriber for captions, so I will like finish my edit in Final Cut and then export that video and import it into Premiere just for captions.
Wow.
Yeah, because I don't want to write them
And
all myself. I'm lazy. Yeah, no,
I
thank you.
think Resolve does that.
I feel like it might. I can't remember. I
I
know
f-
that if
I'm
something
pretty
happened to
sure
Final
it
Cut, I would go to Resolve.
does, but I've never done it.
Mm.
I I see. I will record a voiceover that I have no plans of anyone ever hearing. I will edit a video. I will put a voiceover into it, and then I'll bump that into Instagram, put music in it, leave the voice track at like 5% so you can't hear it over the music. But if you leave the original audio on at least a couple of percent, then it can use that audio track to build captions. So I will basically
Hmm.
cut out my audio, use that
Mm,
audio only to
wow.
transcribe the captions in Instagram, and then just blare music over the top of it. So all you get is the music and you get the captions, but you never actually hear the voice that I recorded.
Yeah. It's a type over, not a voiceover.
Well, I mean, I started by speaking it, but
Yeah.
yeah, then
Yeah.
I transferred it to text instead.
Man,
Yeah,
if
I
we
do
could
that in Instagram.
hack
I've
master.
never done that with DaVinci. I just do that with Instagram.
Mm.
I find, not in every single case, but like if I have a video that I know I'm going to post to multiple platforms, it's easier to have those captions like already done and not have
Right.
to
Yeah.
redo
Yeah.
them app per app, because
Yeah.
that gets annoying and I don't want to like fix things within those captions all the time.
Yeah.
And I will. I'll
Right.
like go through those and like figure out, because I also say things like in a way that isn't normal sometimes, so it doesn't pick up like what I'm saying.
Sometimes the auto
Yeah.
caption translator misreads things,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
you didn't speak
exactly.
clearly enough or loudly enough for
Right.
them to pick it up. Yeah, I will do that. I click in and I actually read through the thing, and sometimes they get a word wrong. You click on it and you retype it, or you add
Mm.
one if it missed an A or something in between a couple other words.
Yeah, and
But
on
yeah,
some
I
of
wouldn't
like
want
my
to do
song
that on three
covers.
different platforms. That'd be a real
Exactly.
pain in the ass. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm almost entirely Instagram. Sometimes when I'm feeling squirrely, I'll put something on YouTube, but not super often. And I had a TikTok for a while, and it got on my nerves because some people there were like 7 million people that watched my video, but they weren't paying for it because I didn't have enough followers. You
Mm.
need to have you need to have
Hmm.
a certain amount of views every month, and you need to have a minimum of like 10,000 followers. So even though I had a video that ran like mad for like a year and a half, up to about 7.5 million views, I only had like 3,500 followers, and I got sick of getting the constant comments from assholes, and I wasn't getting paid for it. They were
Yeah.
making bank off of my video, but they weren't giving me anything. And
Mm.
and they pulled some transition bullshit a couple of months ago where they uh, took their shit offline for 12 months and came back with a different algorithm and some new behind the scenes ownership or something like that. That was the motivation I needed to say, I don't need TikTok, and I pulled all my videos off. And I still have my account. I still watch stuff occasionally, but not as much
Mhm.
as I used to.
Mhm.
But I pulled all my shit down. I don't need like six people every day telling me that I sound like an idiot or I'm doing some shit wrong, which is what I got for a year and a half for no
Yeah.
goddamn benefit of my own. And
Wow.
I don't miss it.
Yeah.
The hell with them.
Yeah.
They weren't paying me. I'm sick of making them money
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
dealing with assholes. So, eh.
Well, we're running a little. We're not running long, but we're getting
No,
getting
we're
there.
we're probably hitting that point where we should start thinking about our things of the week. Probably
Yeah.
be a good time for that. We skipped it with Jimmy because we were running really long. We almost got 2 hours by the time we got out of there. Did you happen to bring anything for thing of the week?
Yeah.
What you got?
Um, my thing of the week is recording your own music. I used to make up a lot of excuses as to why I couldn't record the music for my videos. I'd say like I didn't have time or it's too much on top of all the things I just did to,
Mhm.
get a project from start to finish. But I didn't want to pay for a service anymore. Um, I was using Epidemic Sound before that. So I stopped that subscription and I started recording my own music. And it's really like brought the joy back into the process. It's like become my favorite part. And like curating a sound for every video has been so much fun. And I highly recommend it if you can, if you have like, you know, the capability to just do it.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's my thing.
I think that's a good. I mean, if you're capable of doing the singing and the guitar playing to make the music, I mean, I've tried finding music on a service and finding something that I liked, and then you're stuck with the fact that you've got a 2 minute music track that you fell in love with, but you've got a 2 minute and 30-second track you want to put it to, and then you've got
Yeah.
to figure out what the hell to do about that, or
Mm.
can I splice in another music, or do I just scrap the whole damn idea and go fish for something else? The pain in the ass of finding a licensed audio track to put over your video is such an incredible fucking headache
Yeah.
that I can't imagine writing your own music is actually that much more work.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like by the time you've gone through like a whole fucking catalog and put like I used to put playlists together, I'm like, I think this video feels like this. I
Mhm.
would spend hours just like listening and looking for the right music. And, by the time I was done with that, I could have just recorded the whole song myself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like I
So you spend
recorded a
all
song yesterday in 2.5 hours.
nice.
Yeah.
So rather than spend hours and hours and hours picking music that
Yeah.
you're going to pay somebody else to do,
Exactly.
you can use your own music.
Yeah.
And
It's
it'll be better. And
It'll
it'll be
be
a lot less headache
yeah,
because if there's something you don't like about it, you just change the shit and
yeah,
record it again,
yeah,
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 tweak it and
exactly.
adjust it. There's not a whole lot you can do with the shit you've downloaded.
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like
And
I'm sure.
notorious for getting blocked on like Instagram and TikTok for the music that I use.
Yeah,
So this is like way better. Even on those songs that I got from Epidemic Sound, I've gotten my videos flagged. I was like, I thought this
nice.
was free everywhere. Wow. What did I pay for?
yeah, yeah,
A
Um,
headache.
yeah,
yeah,
literally.
How about you, Al? You got anything interesting today?
yeah. I mean, I had a really quick one. We finally took delivery of a new tractor, and I've been using the hell out of this little Kubota tractor we bought. It's
Oh,
amazing.
cool.
But more importantly, this day has just been amazing. Like having my friend tell me, "Hey, grab your camera when you come look at this job." My wife and I will look at it and show you how to, show you some tips and tricks and stuff like that. And then Marylou comes on the show tonight, and we talk about photography and all this kind of stuff. And I jotted this down, and we kind of touched on it. But I think my thing of the week is going to be, I don't know if I'm sure somebody else has said this, but I'm going to use it as a quote. And I just jotted down: do something with what you have.
Yeah.
You know, don't wait. If you've got a cheap $20 sander, well, do something with it.
Yeah.
You know, and someday you'll have a $500 sander.
Mm-hmm.
But don't wait until you can afford a $500 sander before you do anything. You know, so do something today with what you have. You've got the ability to do something, whether it's draw a picture or write a poem or sing a song or build a birdhouse or whatever it is that you do, whatever you are passionate about, just do something with it today.
Absolutely.
And my other feelings on that is that it may turn out that you don't want the $500 sander anyway.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Right.
I mean, I was thinking about you and this topic yesterday because I've got what is it? It's shit, I don't know. It's blue, teal colored freaking sander. It plugs into the wall. It's better than Ryobi, but it's nowhere near professional grade sander.
Makita.
And I was using that, and I was thinking, man, it'd be really nice to have like a Festool or a Merca or one of these other amazing sanders. And then I stopped myself and said, yeah, but I haven't. I may have like a $50 sander, but I haven't used it in the last month. If I'm
Yeah.
going to use the sander, and I used it for 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to sand, I'm making a new cover for my oven to keep the cats from stepping on the damn glass surface when it's hot. And I had to
Mm-hmm.
sand that thing on both sides. It took me like 15 minutes, and it's the first time I've used the sander in a month.
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
man, it would be really nice to have a $500 sander right now. But then my
But
next thought was, but it'd be a
why?
colossal fucking waste of money because I
Right.
don't
Right.
use it enough, nor do I
Right.
make money with it.
Right.
So I might have started out in the beginning and go, man, I'm not going to do anything until I get a $500 sander. But now that I've spent a couple of years doing things, I wouldn't get my money's worth out of a $500
Right.
sander if I had one.
Right. Right.
So it'd be great to have one for the 10 minutes I need to use it, but I can do the same job with a shitty sander in 15.
Yeah.
And I'll suffer a little bit more, but
Yeah.
for the 15 minutes a month I use it, it'd be
Right.
silly.
Right. And it's not even.
Definitely use what you got.
Yeah. 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 100%. And I don't want to. And again, I've got lots of inexpensive tools because I can't justify, spending like I need an edge bander. An edge bander is about $4,000, or I could go
Ooh.
to the Goodwill and buy a $25 iron
Yeah.
and edge band like the rest of us mortals do.
Right.
Right. You'd have to need a lot of edge banding to
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
justify
Yeah.
buying a tool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you get started with what you got, and then you will learn which parts of this are the ones that need to be upgraded, and which parts are the ones of the process that just seem to be okay with what you're doing, and you really don't need to waste the money.
I'm going to learn how to use this. I promise. I'm committing to it.
Yay.
You're gonna figure that camera out if
You
it
do
kills you,
great.
huh?
That's right. That's right.
Well, I think you just met somebody that might be able to give you advice if you need problems.
Yeah, you can ask me
Yeah, I can show you
anytime.
some questions.
Of
Awesome. I
course.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she subscribes to the maker community spirit of not gatekeeping and helping
No,
people who need help,
That's awesome.
for sure.
which is the requirement to be cool and an upstanding
Yes.
member of our maker community.
The tide lifts all boats.
Yes. Yeah, that's the one thing that I really 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 like about the maker community is that it is in no way, shape, or form like the art community or the photography community or
That's
the
true.
pet breeding community or the child raising community, where everybody is all about killing each other and how everybody else is doing shit wrong. And no, I'm
Yeah.
not going
Yeah.
to tell you how I did this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's also, I believe, in my mind, I believe that this is the reason why Jimmy is considered the godfather. It's not because he's the first, and it's not because he's the best. It's that he created this community by coalescing people around him of his same beliefs, that all rising tide, all ships crap, and there's no gatekeeping. And Jimmy, with 2 million followers on YouTube, will answer a question to some nobody with no followers who wants to know, can you explain to me what you just did? He'll fucking do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's coalesced the group of people around him that are like minded people.
Yeah.
And people who want to be gatekeepers don't tend to really be part of our community
That's
too
true.
Not for
long.
very long.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I believe that he's considered the godfather because he coalesced the group of people who are not like that. And he created the part of our community that was the moral standings of how our community was going to work as a group. I believe that
He's
that's why he's the godfather.
yeah. He smashes everybody with that love mallet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one.
There you go.
All right. Well, I've got something fun and digital and a little bit less esoteric here. Um, this is a 3D printing trick, I guess. I found a model on Maker's World called multicolor filament. It's actually multicolor filament version 2 parentheses dual triple quadruple. And what it is it's a model of a coiled string that will print out as exactly what's filament 1.7 mil or something like that. It'll print out a circular string that is, you know, standard 3D printed filament. So
Mm-hmm.
it seems like a waste to 3D print your own filament. But in this case, the model is set up so that you can do 2, 3, or
Oh,
4 colors. You've
wow.
probably seen for sale multicolor filament. I've got a
Yeah.
few rolls. I've got one that's like red and black. And as the model turns, it sort of looks like black from one side and sort of looks like red from the other side.
Hmm.
In this case, you can take any 2, 3, or 4 colors of anything you want as long as they're all the same. I mean, you can't mix your PLA with your PETG, obviously. That shit doesn't stick. But I mean, if you've got 2 different colors of PLA and you want to use a dual color that doesn't exist, say that you want a purple with a neon green, and you can't find that anywhere, you load the purple, you load the neon green, and you print this model, and it'll give you like 5 meters of purple and neon green dual
That's
color filament,
wild.
which then you
Yeah.
can feed into the back
Mm-hmm.
and make a model out of the dual color.
Wow.
And
That's
you can make,
cool. Yeah.
So it's making like Aquafresh toothpaste.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Simple mind here.
You're
That
printing the
was a
two
great
types of things side
example.
by side. So then when you come back and you squeeze it out of the tube, it comes out with the stripes like the
Yeah,
Yeah.
Aquafresh does.
yeah. And
That's
Exactly.
cool.
then you can
So
turn.
this is
So if you know you need 8 meters, you can print as much as you need.
there's a
Basically.
there's a limit to how big of a coil you can fit on a
Oh, because
plate at
it's
one
on.
time. It's
Right.
all one. You can't go up. This all has to be single layered on the plate. It does. You
So
can't
as
go up
big
with it.
as the plate.
But
Yeah.
it starts with a
Getting
coil. It
bigger.
starts smaller and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger
Right,
as it
right,
goes
right,
around to the
Yeah.
edge of the plate. But there's a limit on how long you can make that.
right.
However, There are little hardware toys called filament joiners where you can feed two ends of filament into this machine, and you push a button and it
Mm.
like heats something up and then pushes the two pieces
It
together, and
welds it. Yeah.
it'll weld two pieces of filament together end to end. So even if you're limited to like 7 meters of filament that you can print at a time, you can weld another piece onto the
Yeah.
end of it to
Yeah.
extend the
Yeah.
length of that. I don't
Interesting.
have one of those yet, but I know they exist and they look cool.
That is
So
cool.
that's my choice, is multicolor filament of custom work. And I think that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
All right. So I like to ask people what their dream tool would be. So, Marylou, if you could
Mm.
have any one tool delivered for free with
Mm-hmm.
accessories,
Mm.
anything you want, what would you pick and what do you think you'd do with it?
A giant drum sander. Just
Those are
just a
cool.
huge one. Like, how big can we get it? Like, a big one. I would build tables. Tables all day. I would,
Wide belt. You get a big
yeah,
wide belt
yeah,
sander.
big,
Yeah.
wide. Ooh, that would be the dream.
That'd be a cool one. I have
Yeah.
I
not
know.
heard that one yet.
I know where there's a 60-inch wide belt.
That'd be in
Really?
Jimmy's offsite shop.
Yeah. No,
Mm.
no. It's actually a buddy of mine's cabinet shop.
Oh, okay.
He,
Well, I
yeah.
know Jimmy's got one that's like 5 feet long, and you like pull a lever and it like pushes the material into it, or I don't remember. I've seen him use it before.
Oh. That's a stroke sander.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very old technology.
Whoa.
Actually, that's Google a video on a stroke sander. Those are really really cool.
That makes
They're
drum
very
Oh.
sanders look like crap, huh?
yeah. But you need 10 feet. You need 10 feet of wall. They're
Yeah.
big
Yeah. Well,
machines.
you can't
You know.
fit one of those in your single car
Mm-mm.
garage shop.
No,
You could probably get by with the drum sander, though.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
All
That's
right.
cool. Yeah,
Well, that was a solid answer. We haven't heard that one yet.
yeah.
Yeah, I love being unique.
Okay. Um. Well, I think we're about ready to wrap up. Is there anything else you'd like to throw in and talk about quick? Anything else you want to mention, or?
No, but thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate
Well,
it. It
thank you
was
for
a
coming.
good convo.
Yeah,
Um,
Absolutely.
I hope it wasn't too disappointing following Jimmy dressed up.
No, not at all.
No, that's fine. You know, not everybody has the following and the experience of him for podcasting, but I really try to mix in the people everybody knows and some people that people don't know yet. I'd like to introduce people to the world, and you're
Yeah, that's
somewhere
awesome.
very comfortably in the middle with the rest of us.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what your numbers are right now, but
Pretty
I know
low.
you're not Jimmy, and I know you're not nobody. So
Accurate.
where, wherever that leaves you is
Yeah.
wherever you're at. That's all good. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We appreciate you spending your time with us. And
Thank you.
everyone who enjoyed the episode should go follow Mary Lou. She's on Instagram under, what is it?
Made
Made
by
by
underscore Mary
underscore
Lou.
Mary Lou. Yeah, as well as
Mhm.
on YouTube under
Just made by Mary Lou.
just Made by Mary Lou.
Mhm.
Okay.
No, just it's
And
made by
let's
Mary
see.
Lou.
So go follow her. She makes some amazing looking shit, and she makes her amazing looking shit look really good. So
Thanks.
not only does the stuff look good, but she makes it look better with the videography. So I also need to thank my co-host Al for taking the time to hang out and keep the conversation interesting. And
Always a pleasure.
I need to thank all the listeners for tuning in. A huge thank you to our current patrons for their support. So many thanks to Adam from BKR Customs, Ed Swanson of Ed's Clocks and More, and Eric from Overall Makerworks. If you enjoyed listening and would like to help support the show, you can share it with your friends, leave a review, or you can join our Patreon. You can find our Patreon at patreon.com/digifabricators. And we have a Discord server open to all listeners. Our patrons will get access to an exclusive patron channel in our server, and they will get to hear about our next guest before the public. Direct links to our Discord server and Patreon page are in the DigiFabricators Instagram bio, which you should also be following at Digi-Fabricators. And if you or someone you know does cool things with their digital tools, please contact us. We only have so many friends to invite, and then we will need some suggestions to keep this show going. I can be found most places as a weird guy, and Al can be found under New York Woodworks, which is NY Woodworks with an X. So thank you again to everyone, and we will catch you on the next episode. Sweet. Nailed it.